Good morning. It is 7 a.m. A quorum is present and the meeting has been duly called and posted at the time and manner required by law. I would like to invite Jared McCool, the senior minister at Westmont Christian Church, to open our meeting with a prayer and lead the audience in the pledges to the American and Texas flags. Jared.
Let's pray. Holy God, we first come before you with thanksgiving that we can meet together here in this place, that we can acknowledge you, the creator of all things, and seek your wisdom for what is ahead. Lord, we ask your guidance and your leading for wisdom, discernment, and clarity for the board members, for fairness and integrity in decisions that affect the students and the staff, for academic success and safety and the well-being of all students, and the support for families facing challenges. Lord, we pray for strength and patience and inspiration for the teachers, the administrators, for unity and cooperation among staff members. We pray for constructive collaboration between the school board and the community, for engagement and support from parents and local organizations. We pray for creative solutions to current challenges, for opportunities for growth and improvement and innovation. And ultimately, Lord, we pray that the leadership here would submit to your leadership, that it would be your authority that is above all else, and that your truth would reign here in this place. As decisions are made, Lord, may it be at your will that is sought. It's in the name of Jesus that we pray. Amen. Now the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, and one indivisible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCool. Appreciate you being here. All right, we will jump into our recognition portion of our meeting today. Recognition of Lubbock High School Westerner Band. Cesar De Leon will ask you to come to the podium and lead us in that recognition.
Good morning, board members. It's always so nice to be here with you guys. So, Superintendent Rolo, President Bridges, and fellow trustees, I am excited to share some phenomenal news about the Lubbock High School Marching Band. For the second year in a row, they traveled to the state competition in San Antonio, where they competed alongside the top 5A marching bands from across our great state of Texas. Out of 252 bands in the 5A division, our band stood as a true representation of excellence, showcasing the talent and spirit of our great community. The success of the Westerner Band is a direct result of the hard work and dedication of the students, staff, and their amazing band boosters who contribute their time and effort to support the program. Their commitment to excellence and service is a shining example of what makes Lubbock ISD so special. Of course, none of this would have been possible without the direct leadership and relentless commitment to excellence of the Lubbock High School band directors. Director of Bands, Mr. Dallas Bayless, and assistant band directors, Mr. Joseph Galvin and Tress Perkins, dedicated countless hours over the summer months in August, September, October, and November to prepare for this competition, ensuring the students were ready to perform at their absolute best. We are deeply grateful for their unwavering commitment to our school district and leadership. Please join me in giving a big round of applause to the Lubbock High School Marching Band, their drum majors, Naomi Lafitte, J.C. Neal, and Toby Tyner, and their directors for their incredible achievement and for making us all so very proud.
Next, I will invite Chris Lopez, our Executive Director of Teaching and Learning, to recognize our 2024 Outstanding Elementary Social Studies Teacher of the Year. Chris, thank you.
Good morning, Dr. Rolo, President Bridges, Board of Trustees. It's an honor to recognize Bayless Elementary teacher Lori Seekstels. She's the 2024's Outstanding Elementary School Social Studies Teacher of the Year, named by the Texas Council for Social Studies earlier this year. Seekstels is one of the statewide award recipients that was awarded at the Texas Council for Social Studies 2024 Annual Conference in Round Rock in November. The Outstanding Social Studies Teacher of the Year awards are presented annually and given in recognition of active participation in local, state, and national participation in those social studies councils and outstanding social studies teaching. The process begins with a local nomination, and award candidates are vetted through a state committee that are reviewed with original lesson plans, resume credentials, and experience and contributions to social studies education. The Texas Council for Social Studies is a nonprofit organization comprised of a community of social studies educators and supporters across the state. It's an honor to recognize Lori Seekstels, Outstanding Elementary School Social Studies Teacher of the Year.
Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Let's get a little bit more this way. Here goes. Ready? 1, 2, 3. There it is.
And back to the podium, I would like to invite Cesar De Leon, our Executive Director of Fine Arts, to recognize our 2024 Texas Art Education Association Administrator.
Thank you. Well, Superintendent Rolo, President Bridges, and Trustees, truly, what a fantastic day to be in Lubbock ISD. Love it, love it, love it. I am thrilled to share some exciting news about one of our very own colleagues. Ms. Neely Hawley, standing right back there, is our outstanding, definitely outstanding coordinator of fine arts here with Lubbock ISD. Ms. Hawley has been named the 2024 Outstanding Visual Arts Administrator of the Year by the Texas Art Education Association. This incredible award recognizes a single administrator who has made significant contributions to the association and to the field of art education. But wait, there's more. I am proud to announce that thanks to Ms. Hawley's leadership, vision, and relentless commitment to excellence, Lubbock ISD has been named as a District of Distinction for the 6th consecutive year. This recognition is awarded to only the most exceptional school districts, and Lubbock ISD's continued successes places among the top 1% of all visual arts programs in the great state of Texas. With over 1,200 districts eligible for consideration, I can say with confidence that this is a reflection of our strategic arts staffing at all of our schools. Having fully certified and full-time art educators continues to make a difference in the lives of all of our students. I am incredibly proud to celebrate Ms. Hawley's remarkable achievement and to acknowledge the dedication of our entire arts community here at Lubbock ISD. Their commitment to excellence continues to set a high standard for what is possible in arts education. Thank you for your support in making this success happen. Come on down, Ms. Hawley.
Congratulations. Thank you, everyone. I will now open the floor for trustee comments.
Just want to congratulate both our students and our teacher, and as well as our administrator for the wonderful achievements. Lubbock ISD has a lot to offer with a lot of special people, and we appreciate you very much.
So good to hear every bit of that. We are a school, and we are a school district, and we're continuously doing better and better and better. Thank you.
We've had some hard. Oh,
You go ahead.
we've had some hard days, and so it's really great to have these celebrations. Because she ducked out, that Bobby Sorensen I know is a great supporting cast member in fine arts, and Neely does a great job. And I think they both took on extra roles when we had a little void before Mr. De Leon got here this summer. And Misty, I know, did some acting fine arts director. So anyway, congratulations to lots of folks in social studies teacher. That is a fantastic honor. So thank you for your outstanding work. Well done.
I think it's always hard to start the day in a bad mood when Mr. De Leon gets up. It's just so bright, and so that was great. One of the things that he mentioned that I think is important to recognize, both with the band and for Lori and Neely, is the countless hours that were put into everything that all of these successful people have done. And so just thank you so much for pouring into the students and to the band, and well done.
And kind of to Nancy's point, we have had some hard meetings in here lately, and I think days like today and today's recognitions, it's important to remember that we have a whole lot to celebrate as a district. During today's prayer, heard some good words again, like collaboration and success and safety. So just a few things we have to celebrate. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, trustees. I love seeing the, from the academic side to the fine arts side, how, that depth of expertise and excellence that we have at Lubbock ISD. So congratulations to all of our teachers and administrators who are wonderful at what they do. All right, the next order of business is citizen comments. Before we begin, I would like to review the provisions in board policy governing the procedures for public participation as reflected in BED local. The audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on the matters being considered by the board. I will remind members of the board that the citizen comment section of our board meeting is for the purpose of listening to patrons, but we are not allowed to comment or debate on issues that are not posted. No presentation shall exceed 3 minutes, and a timer will go off at the completion of 3 minutes. I would ask that you conclude your comments within the time limit allowed. As I call your name, if you would please come up to the podium and state your name for the record. Mary Catherine Arias.
Yes, thank you. Is that good? Hi, my name is Mary Catherine Arias. I spoke with you a few weeks ago. I am the librarian at Hodges Elementary, and I wanted to bring to your attention and just plant a seed about moving forward. I know the decision was made for Hodges to close along with other schools, and if we are going to close schools, which I understand the budgetary needs for it, I do, I'm asking that you guys consider having fully staffing those schools that are remaining. Camargo Harris, Lubbock High, Dunbar, Estacado, they do not have librarians at the current moment, and that is a principal's choice. And I think that is a tragedy for those schools, and Harwell only has a part-time librarian at this time. What I've given you guys in the sheet, I wanted to explain what a librarian does in the schools, because my thought is, just because you've been to the doctor's office, that doesn't exactly mean that you know what a doctor does. And so I did print off my evaluation so you can see the areas in which that I am evaluated. a lot of people think that I check out books, and I do. I do check out books and I shelve books, but my job goes much further into that. I brought some statistics for you. For elementary schools, one study showed that elementary schools that spent more on their libraries on average had 10% higher writing performance, and middle schools that invested in their libraries had almost average of 13% higher writing scores. And since we are diving into, with the STAR test, doing more and more writing, I feel like those schools really need those librarians. It says that 68% of schools are above average, their student scores on the 3rd, 4th, and 8th grade reading tests if they had a full-time librarian. And so with those schools in mind, as we move forward, I know that it has been principal choice at this point, but I think that we should insist on librarians. So a lot of us do Chromebook admin. That's our domain one. It's curriculum integration. One of the things we encourage digital resources, and we have to align our curriculum and collection development with the current interventions that we have. We have Amplify, and we're briefed on all of those things, and we can curate collections so we can further and deepen the students' curiosity, but also learning outside of the classroom. Our job is to, my mentor said,
Continue, it's fine.
my mentor said, the difference between a teacher and a librarian, yes, a librarian is a teacher, and those spheres overlap. But as a teacher, they're here to make you better, which we are there too. Librarians, we are here to make you like it. And I think that is so important and missing in our schools, that we are running over things that they have to get done, and a librarian is there to make sure that you like it. And school is there to make you a lifelong reader, a lifelong learner, and a thirst for learning. In a climate of all this, the barragement of news outlets and fake news or whatever, our jobs is to teach them these things and how to discern what is right and what and how to check their resources. And anyways, I just wanted to give you my evaluation and just a few more statistics for you to look over, just so as we are moving forward into the 2025-2026 school year, that you consider fully staffing every school in LISD to the best of your ability if you're going to close schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is Wesley Orr.
Wesley Orr, Hodges PTA member, past president. You say community feedback is critical to this process. The parents and the staff members at Hodges have only received 4 days to complete a survey about what they may want to do as far as rezoning. I think anybody with a good conscience would say that's not enough time. Did you give the parents the option to observe the other schools that were on the options? Did you give the teachers a chance to observe the other schools that were on the options? How would you feel trying to just guess out of thin air which one of these options might be better? Now, the option actually being considered today is probably the best. It appears to me the other options were just hastily thrown together so that you can say you're getting community feedback, but you really know where this is going, and you know already what your minds are made up to do. Mr. Ratliff, have you reread any of your notes that you said you were going to do? I've reread all the comments I've heard you saying. I've written them down. I've reread them. And I believe this is a facade. I teach in a different county. I don't go to these schools. I haven't been to Hodges since August. I'm not having conversations with any of these people, the staff involved, the students recently. I haven't had any of these conversations. And so this is just what I'm seeing from the outside. And I don't know how we're going to try to attract anybody else to come back to our district when this is the impression we're giving. It's, as many of you have stated, these are your words, this has been flawed. This has been rushed. Why aren't we stopping this? Usually when people admit to wrongdoing or something is wrong, they stop that or they fix it. Why are we still going at this? In my mind, it's because we have a superintendent that respects an arbitrary transfer window more than actually gathering the feedback and doing this process in a thoughtful and meaningful way. We know who's going to be impacted. Now the time is to start, instead of still trying to make decisions, we need to invite these people to come together so we can move forward correctly. I do want to end by saying that I stand in solidarity with the Lubbock NAACP and their statement of no confidence in the superintendent and the school board for Lubbock ISD. I also support any organization or individual that wishes to pursue litigation against Dr. Rollo or the school board for these discriminatory practices in what is affecting this most coming school year. It affects 2 schools on the same road, a mile apart. That's not fair to the whole district as a whole, and I stand in solidarity with those people. I think it's time that the superintendent and the school board remove themselves from office immediately.
Right, the next item of business is an executive closed session. An executive closed session will be held under the provisions of Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. It is 7:23, and we are adjourned to closed session. 7:55 a.m. and we are reconvened from executive closed session. We will now move into the business portion of the meeting. Do we have any members of the public who have signed in to address the board regarding a posted board agenda item? Okay. No one has signed in, so we'll move to financials. First on the financial agenda is approval of the budget summary report for the month ending October 31st, 2024, budget amendments and budget transfers for the month of October 2024, statement of taxes collected for the month ending October 31st, 2024, and the investment report for the period of October 1st through October 31st, 2024. Dr. Wilkins.
Good morning, President Bridges, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Rollo. Moving through the financials, if you look at the financials, you can see that we're clicking along really well. We should be about approximately 35% spent, 33% spent when this was pulled at that time. You can see some are a little more, some are a little less. That's due to front-loaded expenses, or we can have some that come at the end of the year too. So that's why those percentages fluctuate a little bit. Moving on to our budget amendments. We've had a few budget amendments, and they're mostly really small, but they're due to recognizing some revenue, and then also the budget transfers are due to some state competitions we've had to attend. So that's a good budget transfer at that time. And then moving on to the taxes, we've only collected 1.09% at this time. That's very standard. People don't want to pay their taxes very early, so we usually wait till April. But and then I would like to draw your attention to the final attachment, which is our investments. And our investment team does a great job, and we get a great return, and Plains Capital Bank does well for us. And we're still sitting at 6.07% return on our investments, which is, as you know, is really, really good. So I'll answer any questions if you have any questions about the financials.
Questions? All right, do you have a motion to approve the October 2024 financial reports as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. All right, consent agenda. Consider board approval of minutes for the workshop meeting held November 7th, 2024, the special called meeting held November 11th, 2024, the board training held November 18th, 2024, and the regular meeting of the board held November 21st, 2024. Do we have any corrections to the minutes from the November meetings of the board as printed and distributed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved as printed. A lot of meetings in a month. Academic action items. Consideration and approval of future athletic program organization for Talkington School for Young Women Leaders. Dr. Rollo.
Yes, we do have a presentation. Will you click for me? Okay, perfect. All right, so a little bit of background behind this item that we're bringing you today. Go to the next slide. We had some UIL rule clarifications that require immediate and long-term changes to Talkington's athletic programs. The current program model that we have been following, where students can go back to their home campus and participate in UIL athletics, and Talkington has currently been running their own athletic program as well, competing against homeschool association, private schools, and then smaller school districts around our area. And that actually violates the UIL Constitution and contest rules. It was brought to our attention, so we needed to make some immediate changes. And our immediate solution to get us through this school year was to discontinue the on-campus athletic programs at Talkington by January 1st, 2025. We agreed to that with UIL, and that was in line with what they approved. And so our students for right now are able to continue to participate in UIL athletics at their designated home schools through the rest of this school year, but that was not going to be necessarily feasible moving forward. So we gave the parents and the Talkington community 3 different options. The first option was to continue the Talkington athletic programs and discontinue the opportunity for students to go back to their home schools and participate in UIL. Option 2 was to shift Talkington athletic programs to intramural only, and that means Talkington students play against Talkington students. So they would have teams at the school that would play against each other. That, if we were to do that, then we could maintain the UIL participation at their home campuses. But students who do transfer from outside of Lubbock ISD, which we do have students at Talkington who transfer in from outside of Lubbock ISD, they do not have the ability to do that. They cannot go back to their home campuses. Option 3 was to petition for Talkington become its UIL member school. They are a member in fine arts, but they have not participated in academics as well, but they have not been a UIL member for athletics. And petition for them to become a UIL athletic member, and then that would discontinue a UIL participation at their home campuses. So we surveyed the parents and students, and you can see that option 3, to petition for Talkington to become a UIL athletic member, is the one that had the majority of the votes. We also asked them in the survey which sports they would like to offer at Talkington of all of the UIL sports that are available, and the top 4 that were selected were volleyball, basketball, track and field, and then allow the girls to also participate as a swim and dive in that program. And so our recommended solution is option 3. This allows Talkington to compete as a UIL member school in volleyball, basketball, track and field, and swimming and diving. It maintains equity and compliance with UIL rules. This will discontinue UIL athletic participation at their home campus. It does promote school identity and athletic opportunities for Talkington students. And so what we are asking you to consider is allowing us to petition to become a UIL member school for athletics for Talkington. This does ensure UIL compliance and supports equitable athletic participation and aligns with our district priorities for diverse extracurricular offerings. And Mr. Meeks is here, and we would be happy to answer questions that you have.
Trustees, questions?
Mike, my only question would be, if the board approves the recommended motion as it sits today, and let's say Talkington, for whatever reason, UIL says they're 4A, which would be extremely hard for those ladies to compete at that level. Is it hard to undo this, to go back to an intramural type situation? Like, what's the ramifications?
Every January, we do a varsity acceptance for our schools, for every program that we have in Lubbock ISD. That'll happen mid-January this coming. So if we select Talkington to have whatever sport you approve, we'll say yes, and they will put us into a district next school year. And then if, like, you know, what you're asking is, if we try UIL sports out and it's not, you know, we want to make another decision, we will have that opportunity to do that. We have that opportunity every January with varsity acceptance programs.
Okay, so I mean, not that I want it undone, but I just, you know, you and I have talked about other schools that we have in programs that I don't think are fair, given the district that they end up being put in, and I don't want for these ladies to suffer, even though I love the opportunity for them to get to compete. You know.
And I can comment a little bit on where we think that they might be in. Traditionally, UIL has placed schools like Talkington that choose athletics that have lesser enrollment. It's traditionally been known that they would place you in the highest level that you compete in your school district, which is 5A for us, okay? In my conversations with Jamie Harrison with UIL, he said we won't necessarily do that. Talkington's numbers with the school, the formula they have to double for the opposite gender puts them in 3A classification. And he is, at one time he mentioned that, you know, we could meet you halfway, could be in 4A, possibility. I've had more recent conversations with him, and where he actually said, what would you like? You know, so 3A. I'm more confident.
I like that too, Mike.
With the 3A classification, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
That's just informal conversation.
Gotcha.
And so a little less worried about being in a 4A district, which would put them in with Estacado in their contest district.
Yeah. Okay.
Mike, since we don't really, Talkington campus does not have a spectator gym necessarily. So what will, when they're playing in their 3A division, hopefully, where will they play their home game?
We have some logistics to work through, but we have looked at Estacado as a possibility, although Estacado is using their gyms too. And we've also looked at Alderson, which is now an elementary school, but it started as a junior high building. And they have a competition-sized gym. It has not been used as a competition gym for a while, so there's some things that we'll need to do to make sure it's ready to go for that. But those are some options that we're exploring right now.
Mike, I want to ask too, because we don't have coaches on that campus now since it's been intramurals. What kind of staffing are we going to need to look at? And because we certainly want to set these students up to be successful with whatever they need coaching wise.
Well, currently, there's 2 coaches.
Okay.
We participate in middle school athletics at Talkington. They're part of our Lubbock County Middle School League.
Okay.
Then the same coaches also do the high school sports now. You know, we've always determined Talkington to be participating in either a recreation schedule or a wildcat schedule, participating in against the schools that Dr. Rollo mentioned. Is that a lot for 1 or 2 people to do? Yes. And if if they're going to come under the structure of athletics and be consistent with what we're doing at our other schools, we will need a head basketball coach, a head volleyball coach, and hopefully maybe we can, we're working to figure out how we can staff it minimally and share, assist each other, then everybody coach track together. Swimming and diving, when you unplug swimming and diving, those kids are already getting coached. They're already part of a budget. They already have some equipment. So swimming and diving is pretty easy to do. It's making sure that we have a competitive value for our Talkington kids that are going to compete at a high level.
And we've been talking with Dr. Longoria, and I want to thank her because she has been such a great asset through this whole entire process. But we've been talking to her about staffing in our high school athletic programs, except for the athletic coordinator on the campus and the head football coach. Our athletic coaches are also teachers, and so it's going to be a matter of looking at their master schedule and recruiting some of their teachers to also take a athletic period and coach a sport. And then the district would provide that stipend that comes along with coaching.
And is there also some opportunity? I know this is hard and this transition has been difficult. We've heard from parents about that. But also some opportunity in the future to have more girls choose to come because the lack of a full UIL program may have been an impediment to some kids to choose to go.
Absolutely. In fact, Talkington has been asking to do this for multiple years. We are just now in a position where we had to make a decision because of UIL clarification on the rules.
Thank you.
Starting a program is not easy no matter what you're doing. But when you peel back the layers, there's some exciting things that could come with this. And, down the road, we recommended X amount of sports today, but down the road, if we want to choose others, there's that potential too.
We do have a lot of girls that start Talkington in middle school, and then they leave Talkington to go back to their home campus, whether it's within Lubbock ISD or another school district, because of this situation. So this will allow girls to be able to, we hope, we'll know later, but we hope that this will retain some of those students from middle school.
We typically have somewhere between 20 and 25 kids yearly that participate at their home school. Good majority are swimmers and divers, but we have plenty of kids that are competing back at their home campus.
Thank you.
And this may be rhetorical, but for the programs that you're proposing currently, Mike, will we make sure that we have enough participation before we actually set that as a team?
Those are the sports, actually, that they are offering right now.
Okay.
With their Talkington athletic programs.
But we'll have enough kids.
We're confident that those activities would carry enough
Okay.
participation for varsity sports. You know, where we need to do the work is get enough to fill the JV teams. Doubtful that we would have ninth grade teams, but
Yeah.
we would like to work to having a JV and a varsity team.
Okay.
Would there be an opportunity for the sports that are not offered? Is there an opportunity for the girls that are there to get any type of waiver outside of the UIL program?
No, sir. No, sir. That's what brought this all about is if Talkington has an organized athletic program, then kids cannot return home. So it's either, it's one or the other. It's one or the other. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I want to thank Mike. This has been a very difficult and challenging process, but I really appreciate Mike and his team for looking at all of the options and making sure that we are meeting the needs of the girls at Talkington. So thank you.
All right, do you have a motion to approve the request for Talkington School for Young Women Leaders to petition for UIL membership?
So moved. Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, then we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, thank you. Consideration and approval of the 2024-2025 district and campus improvement plans and targeted improvement plans. Dr. Miller.
Yes, so as we shared with most of you in our last student engagement enrichment meeting, this is the time where we ask you to approve our district and campus improvement plans and our targeted improvement plans. We sent you links to those plans so that you could review them in advance. I want to take a moment and thank a couple of people who have been instrumental in supporting our campuses as they go through this process, and that is Beth Barrage. Beth, thank you so very, very much. Oh, and there's Dr. Longoria. Thank you, Dr. I didn't see you back there. And then I also want to thank Debbie Alderson. She is our district coordinator for school improvement, and she works right alongside all of our principals on a one-on-one basis to make sure that their plans are aligned to their needs assessments and to make sure that they're targeted so that we can absolutely continue to improve student outcomes. So I want to thank them both for their work. I want to thank our principals and our leadership teams on our campuses. This is not, I know we approve this once a year, but this is not a once a year thing for us. These are formative plans. We do quarterly checks and they check off where they are and make adjustments as they need to. But by law, we're required to bring these to you once a year to approve. Happy to answer any questions.
I think you had a chance to review your district campus plans and then at large the district. Questions, comments?
The only comment I would make, Dr. Rollo, in reviewing District 4 is I think moving forward it'd be helpful on some of the subjective goals. There were some campuses that put targeted practices that they were going to do to try to meet those goals, and others that just had a goal. And so I thought the ones that had kind of a plan or what they were going to do to try to meet that, I thought were more effective than those that just had a general goal. So it seemed like the objectives kind of had, the objective goals had targets where the subjective ones were, mainly just listed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the 2024-2025 district and campus improvement plans and the targeted improvement plans for comprehensive support and improvement and the effective school framework focused grantee campuses as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, administrative action items. Consideration and approval of an energy savings performance contract with Schneider Electric. Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, good morning, Ms. Bridges, Board of Trustees. Great to see you all this morning. This is an item that we have been discussing with you all through our facilities committee structure, and I think we've used the analogy of getting married, and so we are in the middle of the ceremony as we speak. And our friends from Schneider Electric, Charlie and Brett, Charlie Davis and Brett Holting are here. And so as they met with you on Monday in our facilities committee, we are ready to engage in this partnership with them, and we appreciate their patience as we work through something that we've never done, that we have never done on our side. This is not the first performance contract that this district has ever entered into, but it is the first one that we've been a part of. And so it's just a great opportunity for us to take advantage of a unique way of taking energy savings and being able to use the savings to do some district improvements that will help us in ways that make situations better, that are improved for our students in their experience. So happy to try to answer any questions, but this is exactly what we talked about at the facilities committee.
Anything else?
We're very excited. Not only will this allow us to upgrade our lighting throughout the district, it also will allow us to make some much needed improvements using the savings to help upgrade some facilities that we have needed to upgrade for a while. So we're excited about that.
Do I have a motion to approve the Schneider Electric Energy Services contract from the Interlocal Purchasing System, contract number 220104?
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Consideration and approval of resolution authorizing the district to enter into a note with Capital One for energy improvements to be implemented by Schneider Electric.
Yes, ma'am. So this is the financing vehicle that we talked about, and we appreciate Schneider Electric being willing to work with us and allow us to offer this opportunity locally, and so we have made the decision in the best interest of the district. This is the financing vehicle that we will use, and so just to reiterate what Dr. Rollo was saying, so we will improve lighting across the district, which will, again, in the classrooms and the hallways, provide some better experiences for our kids to see. And because of those new fixtures that we will be installing, that Schneider Electric will be installing on our behalf, they will bring the savings. With those savings, then we are able to do the district improvements that Dr. Rollo was referencing. So this is the financing vehicle. We take out a note. This is, and I need to be very, very clear about this to the public. This is at no cost to the district. We've made this very clear with our partnership with Schneider Electric that this is not going to cost the district any money. It is literally whatever savings we have, we're going to allow. That's going to allow us to then do these upgrades, these district upgrades, and so it's very important for the public to understand that's how this works. We spend this much. The way I've said it before is you spend this much money on an annual basis for utilities, and they do various things. We chose lighting as the lowest hanging fruit for us, and we have significant needs there, and so by us being able to reduce the cost that for those utilities, then that gives us that gap to be able to pay this note that we're asking you all to approve. So that's how it doesn't cost us, the district, any additional new money.
And I would just say, not only is it providing better lighting, but a better learning environment for our kids. That's a part of our mission, obviously, what we're about. I don't know if the note itself is public information, but me being a banker, this is I would say not just competitive, but well below what I would consider market rates. It would be hard for me and my business to make money based on the pricing and the terms of this loan. So I just commend you and your team and our colleagues at Schneider Electric for all your help with this process. I know this started long before my service started, so thank you.
And to further on that, I mean, I know Schneider did a lot of research and investigation. So this isn't just a, well, you might save this. It's a pretty much a guaranteed number that the savings will cover the cost. So rather than having to budget in deferred maintenance or capital improvements, we're able to fund this with the savings generated from improved infrastructure.
And what from the presentation too, doing this more expediently than we could have ever done it utilizing our own folks. And in the pastor's lovely prayer this morning talked about creative solutions. I was skeptical, I'll say, as a member of the public watching this before I joined the board. And since then, this is a really creative solution that solves many problems and is using money very efficiently and cost avoidance. So I think it's been a good plan.
Do I have a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the district to enter into a note with Capital One for energy improvements to be implemented by Schneider Electric? Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, thank you. Consideration and approval of settlement agreement between Lubbock ISD and Swiss Ray Corporate Solutions Capacity Insurance Corporation regarding damage to district roofs caused by hailstorms on or about May 23rd, 2019 and May 20th, 2020. Dr. Rowland.
Yes, we discussed this with you in executive session, and so I'm happy to answer any additional questions that you may have.
Do I have a motion to approve the settlement agreement between Lubbock ISD and Swiss Ray Corporate Solutions Capacity Insurance Corporation regarding damage to district roofs caused by hailstorms on or about May 23rd, 2019 and May 20th, 2020?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion carries 6-0. Consideration and approval of the resolution authorizing the sale or demolition of the Lomax Building, the Matthews Academy Building, and properties identified as vacant lots adjacent to Roberts Elementary School and Lubbock High School, and sale of the surplus real property thereto. Dr. Willow. Or Rick.
I'm not, yes,
Yes, thank you. As we discussed again in our facilities committee, and we've been discussing these properties specifically over the last few months. And so, just to be clear for the public, all this action that we're asking y'all to take is the first step in the district being able to take steps to make a decision on what we want to do with these properties. To be clear to the public, we have basically a 3-step process. This is the first step. We have some offers that we have to make for other entities that to consider purchasing them at fair market value, and then once that is completed, if anybody's not interested, then we have the ability to take action. Any action further with these properties will be brought to you all for your consideration. So if we get to the point where we're going to put these properties up for sale, we'll put those up for sale, and then whatever offer we get, we will bring to you all for your consideration at that point. We won't take any further steps until we bring you all through our committee structure what our offers are and where we are. So just to be clear for the public, we are not necessarily disposing of these properties yet, but all we're doing is taking the first step of declaring them as surplus. We don't have a future need for these properties, and so that's why we're taking these steps. And again, we reviewed these in our facilities committee, and we have done fair market value studies. We're waiting on one last one, but obviously once we get that last one, because it was a late ad, then we'll bring those to the committee for their review. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, trustees? No? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the sale or demolition of the Lomax Building and the Matthews Academy Building and sale of the surplus real property thereto?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Consideration and approval of the Lubbock ISD legislative priorities for the 89th legislative session. Dr. Willow.
Yes, so I want to first speak to the process. This is a new process for Lubbock ISD. In the past, we have just written legislative priorities ourselves as an administrative team, and the board has not ever adopted these legislative priorities, although you gave us input into them. And then we met with our legislative representatives and went through those priorities with them. This year, we decided we needed more community voice in our legislative priorities. And so we invited people who have graduated from 2 different programs in Lubbock ISD. The first program is our Lubbock ISD ambassadors, and these are staff members who have gone through a year-long Lubbock ISD ambassador program. And then we also invited people who had graduated from our Community Leadership Academy. And the Community Leadership Academy is a year-long program where citizens who are interested in learning more about Lubbock ISD at a deeper level go through a year-long program where we do a deep dive into different things that we offer within the district. And so we invited people who had participated in those year-long programs to be a part of what we called the Lubbock ISD Leadership Coalition. And this group has met multiple times throughout the fall semester, and that group has drafted these legislative priorities after having lots of discussions and lots of input and feedback. And so you can see these legislative priorities on page 48 of your packet. I'm not going to read these to you, but I will go through the main topics that are covered. The first one is equitable school funding. We have teacher recruitment and retention, support for specialty programs, mental health and student support, school safety and security, assessment and accountability reform, infrastructure and facility upgrades, and community engagement and local control. And you can see the different talking points underneath each of those items. Our next steps will be to actually, after your consideration and potential approval of these, we will meet with our legislative delegation and would love for some of you to be a part of that as well. And we will go through these priorities with them and share the information around them. We actually have already begun having conversations with our legislative delegation. In fact, even yesterday I met with our legislative representatives, some of them anyway. And so these are topics that we see are high priorities that we want them to consider as they go into the session beginning in January. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. I want to thank Erin Gregg. She took the lead on this and has done a great job of working with this Lubbock ISD Leadership Coalition. And I want to thank the people who are serving on that, who have developed these priorities for your consideration.
Dr. Willow, I would imagine that there are many districts across the state that have similar legislative priorities. So will there be strength in numbers also? It's not just Lubbock ISD going down there and touting these things. We'll have some other districts.
No, these are very closely aligned with other districts' priorities that we have seen already published, as well as what we see in Texas School Alliance and Texas Association of School Administrators and PTA. The Leadership Coalition did a deep dive into those priorities, and so these are very closely aligned.
Questions, comments? All right, do you have a motion to approve the Lubbock ISD legislative priorities for the 89th legislative session?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Consideration and approval of attendance zone boundary change for the board-approved school closure. Dr. Willow.
Yes, we're pulling up a presentation for you. So as you guys are very well aware, we voted at the last board meeting to close Hodges with the rezoning pending based on getting feedback from the staff and parents of Hodges Elementary. So we presented, you can see we had 106 people participate in a survey that we sent out immediately after the board meeting. You can see the number of parents that participated, the number of staff, and then there were some people who were both parents or guardians and staff at the campus that participated in the survey. And we gave the Hodges parents and staff 3 different options for their consideration. The first one was to attend Bayless, and the second was to attend rezone to Bean, and then the third one was to split between Bayless and Roberts. The Roberts students would be the students that live outside of the loop. We asked the participants to rank the choices first, second, and third, and you can see that by the results of the survey, we had more people that chose Bean Elementary as their first or second choice. And so our proposal to you today, based on feedback from the staff and parents, is that we rezone the Hodges attendance boundaries to attend Bean Elementary beginning with the next school year. And the reason why we need to do this quickly is because we are prioritizing these families with transfers, and the transfer window opens up on Tuesday. So we want to make sure that we can accommodate any transfer requests that these families may have first, so that we can ensure that everyone has a place to land where they want to be for the next school year. So our recommendation to you is to rezone Hodges Elementary attendance zone to Bean Elementary for the next school year. Happy to answer any questions.
I just want to say I appreciate the fact that you all, that there was a survey, and clearly teacher and parent voice was, I think was, by the numbers, was well represented, and I think that was helpful. Also that this does give parents an opportunity now, so they know now if they want to make a different decision, spend the next month looking at other campuses and request a transfer because maybe they live closer to Roberts. I think this plan also, which I think probably was part of the parent input, keeps that feeder system aligned to what it is now for those schools, and I think that's important as they really work hard to build that loyalty to their feeder system. So I appreciate the surveying, and I thought it was a good number of parents that replied. Thank you.
And Dr. Rollo, I mean, to your point, any of our families can apply to transfer anywhere that has an open seat. We will make special note to not only Hodges families, but Overton and Slayton to make sure that they know of their options.
Yes.
So I think, the parents that maybe chose Roberts, I think it's important for them to know that that's still an option for them, or Bayless, or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely. And you guys know that almost a quarter of our elementary students transfer to another campus outside of their attendance zone. But we want to make sure we take care of our families that are being affected by these closures first and foremost.
That's great.
And the transfer window closes when?
January 17th.
Mm-hmm.
It's open for that.
And we usually close it during the 2 weeks that we are gone for the Christmas break, but we're leaving the transfer window open during that time. And we have somebody who will be monitoring the system to make sure that it's working properly.
But it is not first come, first serve, but these
No.
families will get priority.
It is for these families.
Yeah.
We will make sure we take care of the
Them.
Overton and Hodges and OL Slayton
OL.
families first.
Good, thank you.
And the transfer window was pushed back and extended to allow for this.
Yes, absolutely.
right?
We cannot make the system changes until all of our boundary attendance zones are set. And so that's why we're bringing this to you now. When we push the transfer window back, it takes about 3 days to make the adjustments in the system. And so it will crash otherwise, and we don't want that to happen. So that's why we push the transfer window back a little bit.
And this was probably 2 or 3 iterations later of how this particular decision finally came to pass. And I would say, based on some comments from the public, that the public asking for different considerations or concessions to be made was a direct correlation to that.
Absolutely. And I must say that the options that we presented in the survey to the Hodges families were absolutely based on feedback from the community, as well as where we have space to accommodate the students.
So talk about the space a little bit at Bean Elementary and what that's going to look like in this.
Certainly. It will require some additional portables to be added to the campus. We will ensure that those portables are fenced in and follow all of the guidelines that are required for safety purposes. I will say that Alice Jimenez, in visiting with her, the principal at Bean, is more than excited to welcome the Hodges students to her campus. You guys will recall that Alice was the principal at Hodges before she went to Bean this school year, and so she knows a lot of the families and is very, very excited about the potential of hosting the Hodges students and them becoming a part of the Bean family.
And then some of those language programs that are offered at Bean, Hodges students will now have the opportunity
Absolutely.
to participate in.
And dual language you cannot start necessarily in 4th or 5th grade, but the younger students would have the ability to access the dual language program. And also the 3-year-old program at Hodges will move with the students to Bean. And so Bean right now does not have a 3-year-old program. So the Bean students will now have access to the 3-year-old program.
I didn't know that about the 3-year-old program, and good to hear that. Very much needed, yes.
Dr. Rolo, I think it's important to note that the additional portables would only be needed if 100% of the kids go to Bean. And so there's a possibility that if some of those choose to transfer to Bayless or to Roberts, that no portables would be needed, correct?
Potentially. I think we'll probably still need some based on our projections.
Yeah, just looking at the survey, we're considering that in order for us to make sure that if there is a need for a portable, that we have one on site, we've got to make those decisions now. And so what I think we're looking at doing is going ahead and getting our name in the queue for getting one built and on its way, so that if we do have that need, which we feel fairly confident that we will, that we'll have it in place and we won't be warehousing kids and stack them up in rooms that we don't have. So we have access to some inventory here that we'll move. We'll go and get those in place, but I do think we'll end up having to at least purchase one portable, and we knew that.
I'd say related to that, during these community meetings, I heard several parents and teachers talk about the days when these schools were full, and what an exciting time that was. So I think it's a great thing to think about, to have an elementary school full again, where you can walk down the hall and see every classroom with kiddos in it.
We will plan events throughout the spring semester to make sure that we are getting the teachers engaged with each other, and that we're inviting the community to come visit Bean. And so we will, excuse me, we'll do everything we can to make sure this transition is as smooth as possible, and that the students feel welcomed and feel like they are becoming a part of the Bean family.
And that's across the board at all of
Yes,
these. You
at all
talked
of
about
these
that.
schools,
All of
yes.
these schools in transition, which is great.
And when we've done this in the past, our principals have done such an amazing job of doing that, and we will continue to do that in this situation.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the attendance zone boundary changes for Bean Elementary School effective the 2025-2026 school year?
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. All right, procurement and contracts. Approval of district purchases. Mr. Rodriguez.
We have a whole list of things for y'all to cover now. It's just one item for y'all's consideration this morning. This is to purchase cafeteria point of sales technology. And just to point out so we'll obviously putting these in our cafeterias. And just to point out to you, we will be using our TDA funds in order to purchase this, which those are funds that we need to spend down. So
Is that replacing all of the POS?
It is replacing some, but adding some as well.
Any questions? All right, do I have a motion to approve the district purchase as presented?
So moved.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, we will conclude with the workshop portion of our meeting. So we're going to talk about 2025-2026 calendar development. Beth Barrage.
Good morning, President Bridges, trustees, and Dr. Rollo. Every year when I come to do this presentation, I say I can't believe we're already here, and it seems to come faster and faster every year. But here we are ready to talk about the 25-26 academic calendar. So just a reminder of our timeline and how we have moved through this process. I do want to mention that our committee this year had 28 members, and it was made up of 8 central office staff, 4 principals, 12 teachers, and 4 parents. So in addition to our volunteers from our DEIC committee, which is our District Educational Improvement Committee, we invited members of the Lubbock Council of PTAs, and we asked them to also share that invitation with their other members of their PTA to try to grow our parent representation. We know that a lot of our involved parents were already committed with the Future Focus Committee this year, and that may have impacted their ability to participate. Our requirements by law and board policy are that we have 187 staff days included in our calendar, along with a minimum of 75,600 instructional minutes. Other considerations that we look at each year include the importance of honoring feedback from stakeholders, which we put out a survey, and I'll show you those results in just a moment. Part of our DOI requirement is that we do not begin prior to 8 school days before the 4th Monday of August. So that takes a little math. We want to include opportunities for goals conferences for teachers to have dedicated time to meet with parents. We want to make sure we end before Memorial Day weekend, and that's connected with our graduation dates that have been set far in advance. We also looked at the state and local testing calendar, also considering national holidays, and including flex time in November for staff professional development that happens in the summer. It has been historically important for our staff to have a work day after the winter break. And then we also want to make sure that we have professional development days throughout the year to support our staff. And then our 9-week grading period, of course, doing our best to balance it, but know that sometimes it is 1 week off so that we can end the winter, in the semester before the winter break. So here is some information from the survey that we sent to staff and families. You can see that we had almost 3,000 responses, and you can see the breakdown of the number of respondents, the majority being from parents or guardians. We asked our staff to let us know what level they work at, so you can see that the majority of the responses were from our elementary school staff, which aligns with our percentage of staffing at that level. We asked our parent and guardians to let us know which level their students attend, and they could choose more than one. So you can see the breakdown there, again, the majority being from elementary school. We also asked them to help us rank options for goals days. This year we connected goals to the need to have a staff and student holiday on election day. And so we wanted to see if that was valuable to them and what we should consider moving forward. So this chart shows that most prefer that the goals day be a full day and that it is attached to a long weekend on a Friday. We asked them to share some other rank some other important considerations that we've looked at in the past, and they could choose as many as they like. So you can see where they ranked aligning spring break with other institutions, starting the school year on a Wednesday, which we have done the past several years, planning time for teachers, holiday and cultural observances, a full 2 weeks and 3 weekends at the winter break, strategic placement of half days in professional development, a fall break, and other considerations, which I'll share those with you in the next slide. Oops, there we go. So this is a summary of the other considerations that were shared, and I gave you an example or two under each of those main categories. But I also want to give you some connection to these thoughts, to ways that we put these into the calendar options. So for example, long weekends and breaks. In February, option A and B will have a 4-day weekend for students and a 3-day weekend for staff. Option C has a 4-day weekend for staff and students in February. For long weekends and breaks, we also have a fall break option in all of the calendars. Option A has 1 goals day plus 1 staff student holiday. Option B has a goals day and a student holiday. And option C has a goals day, a staff student holiday, and a student holiday. So some variations of that fall break depending on people's preferences. The second category was around religious holidays, and we will continue to build into our calendar Good Friday and Easter Monday as staff and student holidays, but it'll also serve as weather days if needed. The third category of mental health days, we included in option A, there are 22 holidays and 18 staff, PD, or work days. Option B has 21 holidays and 17 staff days. And option C has 22 holidays and 17 staff days. The fourth category around planning days, all 3 options we've designated some of those staff days specifically for planning and not just scheduled PD. Spring break scheduling, we have aligned and confirmed that our spring break options are aligned with Texas Tech. Surrounding districts, we get this question often. We should connect our calendar with the surrounding districts. They have not released their calendars yet. We would be the first, and so we don't know exactly what their spring break will be.
They usually wait for us to adopt ours first.
Yes. And then also Easter break allows us to have that long weekend between spring break and start testing. And option B also gives us a planning day on May 1st, which would allow teachers to have 1 more planning time to plan for that last month of school following the STAR testing window. School start and end times, it is important for us to end prior to Memorial Day and include the required minutes and staff days. And so therefore, that is in all 3 options, and August 13th is the best start date available. Additional teacher days off, most of the options have at least 1 holiday or staff day included in each month. And then scheduling and time adjustments. The examples listed there were around district assessments. I know that there is a committee that's currently working on our district assessment plan for 25-26, and they'll have this calendar to look at. And then finally, we did our very best to evenly space those breaks while also aligning them to federal holidays. Other priorities that we've mentioned is providing staff and students with 3 weekends over the winter break. All 3 calendar options end on December 18th or 19th with a staff return of January 5th. Also, the fall break option, which I mentioned earlier, each option in the calendars varies slightly, but does give opportunity for that. We will also have Martin Luther King Jr. as a staff and student holiday on January 19th in all 3 options. And all 3 calendars have school ending prior to Memorial Day. And then 187 staff days is included in all 3 calendars with a consideration of continuing flex days, the 3 flex days, including the state required compliance courses for 1 day, professional development for 1 or 2 days, depending on the type of contract you're on, and then a classroom work day for teachers. The comparison chart I know you have access to as well. I've shared many of these ideas of where they compare, where the differences are in the 3 options, so I won't spend too much time on that. And then the actual 3 options. And I believe you have printouts of those. And I'm happy to pause and answer any questions that you may have around the 3 options.
Beth, I think this is probably a given, but just to be sure, I know a lot of our teachers go to summer school and do advanced education. So all 3 of these ending by Memorial Day and the dates we end is plenty of time for them to be able to start a summer semester at Tech or LCU.
Absolutely.
I assume so, but just wanted to
Yes,
double
and we
check.
have many people doing that every year, and then those count for their flex requirements. Those hours count. Yes, ma'am.
And then how does this compare first day? Because I've a little been out of the loop the last 5 years. How does the start date of August 13th on all 3 calendars compare to recent years?
It is the same Wednesday that we have had the past several years, aligned to our DOI requirements.
Right.
And we've received feedback over the years that has been pretty consistent that a Wednesday start date is
Yep.
really great for staff and for kids to kind of get back into the routine of school. So it aligns with the same that we've done in the past.
Right. Thank you.
I'll make my annual comment, and I know it won't change, but that's okay. I'm going to say it anyway. I would love for 2 of the work days before school starts to be permanent work days for every school, every teacher. And I know y'all tell me that that's hard to do because principals, want flexibility, whatever. But I continuously hear that sometimes the actual work day is not a full work day for the teachers, and so I will just put that out there once again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
This calendar also works in on the, I'm guessing I don't see any change on it at the high school level on the late start Wednesdays.
As far as I know, late start Wednesday will continue as we've had.
It's considered still at this point, so we need to make additional considerations we can.
No, I've gotten a lot of great feedback on that, student level and at the teacher level, and everyone seems to appreciate it. So as long as we can meet our instructional minutes, sounds like we have a little excess there even built in for weather.
Yes,
So.
and I was going to mention that as well. All 3 calendars give us an excess of instructional minutes that allows for the late start Wednesday, as well as if we had any weather delays or needing for cancellation, that we wouldn't, yes, we'll not speak that into existence. But it would allow us to have enough minutes where we wouldn't have to make up those days later in the spring.
And Beth, what's the next step? So what?
Yes, so the next step is that we will submit a survey to the community, to our staff and our families tomorrow, and that'll run through January, the beginning of January. And then our committee will come back together and review those results to bring a recommendation back to you at the end of January. We will, the survey will go out, the communication will go out in English and Spanish. The survey will be in Qualtrics, which allows for participants to choose their language of preference in answering that survey.
I want to thank Beth, having been the person that was responsible for doing this in a previous role. It is a Jenga board, and it's not an easy task to make sure you're meeting all of the requirements and accommodating for the wishes of the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
And the committee.
Yes.
Now, echo that, having been on the calendar committee a couple years before taking on my current role, I know there are many moving parts to this, UIL considerations, ways to encourage keeping attendance up in the way that you schedule days off, all while meeting, I don't know how many requirements, fitting, checking every box. So thank you. It's a tough job.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Concludes our meeting. It is 8:53 a.m. and this meeting is now adjourned.